I might regret filming this video in this light, but I'm actually really loving this light for some reason, so we're going with it. Hello strangers, I'm Rachel Renner and this is Top 5 Wednesday. This week's topic is to talk about books that you disliked, but love to discuss. So I do have a few books where I really disliked them, or there was features I really hated or just disliked. Most of the books I'm going to talk about are books where I thought they were okay, but there was definitely aspects that I disliked and would like to discuss with somebody, you know, that sort of thing. So to start with, a book that I have discussed at length is The 7 Imperfect Years of Eva Carr by Frances May Rad. I've talked about it so much that I have the title memorised now. This book's meant to be about a neo-atypical 27-year-old woman, aka autistic, aka bounds of ableism. So I have a lot of problems with this book and I've talked about them at length, and I'll just like link the video and the book review, all that stuff in the description and here. My big problems is this like ableist language used, and it's like, this book was released last year and it's just not okay for a book released in 2017 by a major publisher to have some of the stuff that's in this book. Slight trigger warning, there's like sexual assault in this book and it's used as like a lesson about how you shouldn't trust people. And I just find that so problematic as hell. And I just like, you know, sexual assault shouldn't be a lesson, because obviously sexual assault and like harassment and in the workplace, it actually comes into it a little bit as well, is something that a lot of women do face. A lot of people face as well, so it is like a relevant topic, but I just feel like you can't talk about it like that in 2017, so it's like a lot to discuss about what it does wrong. Another book I think actually brings a lot of interesting topics but does them really badly is Stags by M.A. Bennett. Big thesis of this book is that technology and YouTube is bad, and like there's these two opposing houses of like, we should stick to the old ways and people should know their places and the upper class should rise again, kind of stuff, and like, no, YouTube's cool and hip. But the thing is, M.A. Bennett clearly doesn't use YouTube. The only way the main character like defends the internet and like YouTube is to say, well, there's funny cat videos on it. That is all she can say about YouTube in its defense. And I know YouTube has housed some terrible stuff, and like recent events prove that YouTube does have some terrible stuff on it, but like there's tons of communities, and like there's so many benefits of YouTube and the internet and the wonderful thing. Like there's so many communities within YouTube, BookTube for one, like the Sims community, and like all the time I've been on YouTube I've always like voted from one community to another, and I like that. And there's also the fact that I can learn anything off YouTube. That's like, and yeah, there's funny cat videos. We all love funny cat videos, but like there's so many great practical uses to the internet, and it does have its dangers, but it also has its really good highlights, you know? Like friendship groups and stuff. But I just like feel like it's so, like there was an interesting discussion that could have happened with this book, but I just feel like Bennett was not the person or the generation to have that discussion. I mean, you can totally be of her generation and like love YouTube and stuff, but she just like really doesn't know enough about it to be defending it or talking about it at any length. Another book that kind of comes into like the whole ableist kind of discussion you can have is Whispers in the Graveyard by Chesa Belsling. This book came out in the early 90s and it has a main character who's dyslexic. If you didn't really grow up in the 90s, you might not know that dyslexia was kind of like the big disorder, learning disorder in the 90s. And I know that sounds weird, but like if you have learning disorders and stuff and you've maybe like been around a lot of people that talked about it, it was dyslexia, then it was ADHD, attention deficit disorder. I think, I'm sorry if it's not called that anymore, like, if the terms have moved on, sorry. I know, like, it's talked about differently. And now, autism is kind of like the big learning disorder that everyone's, like, talking about and discussing. So I think and there's a lot of ableism in this book from like, because it's like dated, and the idea, like, there's two teachers in it. Like, there's this teacher just treats the main character like shit, and then there's this teacher that's clearly meant to be the heroic teacher that saves him, and like, you know, this is written in the 90s, and like, but she makes this like speech to him at the end of the book that kind of just really ruined it completely for me, kind of. I still like gave it 3 out of 5 stars and just like, ugh. And where she like says to him, "You're not disabled," and I'm like, yes he is, he has a learning disability, it's like disabled 101. And I know there's a discussion about what exactly is a disability and like, should dyslexia be counted. I personally think it is. Like, obviously it's not a major disability, but it still like has an implication, but it still has like a big effect on your life. And like, if you're not properly diagnosed and not like, if you don't have support and stuff, like, you need support with dyslexia, and you need kind of like different learning methods to like cope with it. So I feel like it's still a disability, and I think, but it's also like kind of interesting to look back at something yet and then and seeing how things have moved on. So like, there's discussion in there like, have we moved on from the way kids with dyslexia have been treated and stuff? To be honest, like, I know, okay, like, I've, with just my dyslexia, I know with just my dyslexia label, I've had ableist treatment from teachers, and that was before I was diagnosed with autism, and like, this like mutism really became a apparent thing for me. So like, you know, like, it affects you in different ways. So like, ableism is like, it's not the funnest topic, but it's like a thing to discuss, especially within books. We are getting these wave of books with main characters that have disabilities, but I haven't came across one that's own voices yet. I haven't came across an own voices autistic book that's been mainstream published, and you know, like, why hasn't there been one? I mean, I know why I haven't wrote mine, and I've tried to get it published, but like, I know that there has been like maybe indie publishers, like, but like, I mean, like, fictional works, whatever. Another book I kind of disliked was The Miniaturist by Jessie Button, and the kind of discussion to have from this book is like, is it okay to completely alter the facts about a real historical person? Because the thing is, Jessie Button takes the names of real people and then applies them to these characters that are just literally completely different, could not be any more different. Like, and you look it up and it's just, well, that's not nowhere near the truth. And like, does that make it more okay, or does that make it worse to fictionalize historical people? It's just a minor thing. I think it would be interesting to discuss. Because like, I don't know, the thing is, like, I don't know, I know from like, in my personal opinion, I wouldn't like want people like writing weird nonsense about me in the future, but like, also you're dead, so how much, I don't know. Where's the line there? Another book that everyone seems to love this book, and I just really don't get why, because I've seen a lot of other queer people read this book and love it, and I'm like, am I missing something? Because like, why do you all love this book? And that book is Simon vs. the Homo Sapien Agenda by Becky Acbatelli, I think. I really dislike this book, and one of the main reasons I dislike it is the title itself, because, and then you read the part in the book, it basically, like, I'm wondering, how did a book get away with calling it equating gay people to a different species? And this isn't like me like really reading into it, but when you get to the actual part of the book, Simon basically says, oh yeah, I'm against the Homo sapien agenda, as though he is not a Homo sapien. Like, and also the thing is, my knowledge is Becky Acbatelli is not queer. Anyway, I don't know though, because like, just because she's married to a man doesn't mean that she's not. I don't know her history, and she's not been open about that to my knowledge. But like, from the standpoint that she appears not to be, I'm just like, what the hell? And there's a whole thing that you should forgive your blackmailers. Like, befriend your blackmailers is another lesson from that book, and I was just like, why is that okay? So those are some books that had aspects to them that I disliked, but there's totally a discussion in there, so fun. So I will see you weirdos next time, where we will be discussing all the problematic things with me. Farewell. So this book is meant to be about like a neotypical, like I said, this is spoilers. If you don't want to be spoiled for All the Above by Juno Dawson, just like skip to like, I don't know, I'll put where you should skip to once I, whatever. I can't believe Bury Your Tears was in this book. No one's friends with me on YouTube.